All right, so this is the last class of beginning drawing. I change it up all the time. There's a lesson I do on coffee cups, which I think is really valuable, and at some point you too will experience it. But I thought it's not. It's kind of more frustrating than satisfying. And this guy, this fellow, who I've just put across the thread as well, so you have him. We're going to talk about kind of how to proportion, like no matter what size you're drawing, big or small, how you start to proportion a drawing. And then we're going to draw him. So I'm going to start by showing you some kind of basic measurement techniques. In this particular case, we're working with a flat subject, right? So we're working with a photo that has already been flattened for us. So I'm going to be able to make some marks for you that, of course, if you're drawing a real live object, you won't be able, we can't draw like little lines on a person. But I think this is helpful in terms of learning how to structure. So you could make this dog 2 or 4 times the size. You could also make him half the size, based on the technique I'm about to show you. We're going to start. Hold on a second. So I'm going to show you a couple of things, and then you're going to get into it. Okay. So one of the things that I like to do is kind of find the halfway point, the vertical distance of the subject from start to finish. So the top of that is right here, and the bottom is right here, right? Um, and if we were really going to kind of in a more, so what I'm going to do, actually, this is probably the easiest thing to do. I won't have you do this on your um, sheet. I'm going to just your drawing paper. I'm just going to do it quickly because it's easy. I don't have a ruler handy. I'm going to fold this piece of paper a little bit like what we did with oh no, we didn't do upside down man, the whole thing. I'm gonna like fold this
Wait, Leah, are
pencil.
we supposed to hold our piece of paper?
No, no,
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
doing it so you can see it and then I'm going to show you, right? So in this particular case, the halfway point of the dog is really here. Can you see that? But it's kind of at an angle. It's difficult to find. We are just literally finding the halfway point on the piece of paper that the dog is on. So this is our, that's not easy. Hold on, make that lighter so you can see it. So literally, I mean, it's not the halfway point of the dog, right? Because there's a little bit of this is the halfway point of the dog. But for our intents and purposes today, the dog really goes from here down to here. And this sort of division on my paper is halfway. So right here is the exact halfway point. It's the exact halfway point on the source and the paper. Um, so what I'm going to have you, first thing we're going to do, we have the halfway point. I'm going to find the quarter points for on this vertical line. So if I come here and I'm doing it not using a ruler where I can measure, I'm kind of doing it in a visual spatial way, meaning that I'm like, if I know this is the halfway point between here and here, uh, where my quarter point should be halfway between here and here, right? So I'm gonna check. It looks to me like it's possible. So you see how I'm doing this? I'm checking. So I'm going from here to here, and then I'm checking to see, is this length the same as this one? And look at it, it is. So I found the quarter point. Don't worry, you don't have to draw anything yet. I'm going to show you how to draw this afterwards. And then I'm going to find, because I know that this halfway is the same size as this, I can just literally take this, come down here, and measure the quarter points. So this vertical line is now divided into 4 equal quarters. That's kind of helpful because it shows us kind of where things are in relation to other things. Now you can draw this line, which is what I'm about to have you do. And so a lot of times when we're defining like how big proportionally everything is to be, we start with the vertical distance of something, right? This is the vertical distance from top to bottom. Um, and here's where you can start to do this on your paper. And I'm going to just define with my pencil, and this is where you guys can jump in. I'm going to make this dog a little smaller here. I can draw a vertical line. It does not matter how long it is. It can be half the size, it can be bigger. But what this is a proportional measurement. So I'm not trying to get, and you can actually see, yeah, this line is smaller than this one, but proportionally, I still want to divide this into 4 quarters. Does that make sense? So now I'm going to, once I've drawn my vertical line, however long or short I decide to make it, I'm then going to find my halfway point. If you have a ruler, you're welcome to use a ruler. But if you want to start to practice your visual, spatial, what do you call it? Your visual spatial sense, I like to kind of guess. I think the halfway point is here. And now I'm going to test my hypothesis. Might be right, might be wrong. Oh, I'm totally off. I want you to look at this. One of the things I've noticed in teaching this class over time is that I make so many mistakes within a 5-minute period. I'm so used to guessing and not being exactly right that you might not even notice, but I want you to see this. I'm lining the bottom of my drawing up with the center, what I think is the center line, but when I come up here, I can see it's a little bit too high up, right? They're not the same size. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit and test again. So this is what we call visual spatial. It doesn't really, the numbers can be helpful, but they're a little bit left-brained. So they kind of lock us in areas. What we're really trying to get a sense of is using my tools. It doesn't really matter what the number is, but I do want, when I measure, here's my finger at the bottom and this is the top. I want these to be the same size. Now I've got it. So I'm erasing my old line. And then I'm going to do the same thing with here and here. So once again, if you have right, I'm going to try guessing again. It's really interesting. Some days you're on, and some days some days I'm like, oh my God, totally got it, nail it every time. Other days I'm like, I really am not good at this. Like, not good at this at all. So I'm guessing again. I'm like, is that the halfway point? Let's see. Oh my God, I'm always making things too big. This one too big. So I'm bringing it down. I'm finding my quarter points. Now it's too small. Somewhere in the middle. Um, there we go. This is now exactly equidistant. This is now equidistant between here and here. It's not the same size as this, but proportionally, these things are the same. All right, I'm going to add this down here. It should be easier to find my bottom point because I've already identified. And then, but I'm still going to check. 2, 3, 4. So I'd like you to do the same. I'd like you to create, however big or small your dog is going to be, I'd like you to create a vertical distance from here to here, just draw a straight line, and then find the halfway point and then the quarter points. I used to just have people draw a grid, but then I realized, particularly because we're working with people from all over the place, that my paper is going to be a different size. because I'm here in the US than George's paper. So it's just the nature, right? It'll be off by, and so it's more important to think about proportional things. So when you think you've got it, send it over to me and I'll check it. Send it over the thread. And if you want, yeah, I'm going to send a picture of this too. So give me a second. I'm going to, you don't really need this right now. Yeah, your specific instruction. I appreciate your patience with me as I like, kind of tediously make you do things that are sort of boring. I don't want to record. I just want a picture. There we go. So here's my line. If you check it, you can see, yeah. The thing about drawing is it's really tedious. And I'm also going to send you a picture of the dog with, and I'll take a look at that in a second, Courtney. Here's the dog with the grid, so you can see it, the halfway points all kind of marked out. Let's see. 1, 2, perfect. Wait, let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you do it? I think it's right, Courtney, but can you recheck the top and make sure those are equal? The reason it might be because you took the picture at slightly an angle, which means when I'm looking at it, it's skewed slightly.
Okay. My
The
line's
joy
8
perspective.
inches and I did dots every 2. So I think I'm
It's
good.
8 inches. All right, then that should be
Yeah.
good. That looks great. All
It's
right,
easy to do
George.
math.
It's yeah. What you'll find after a while is that you won't need those numbers. It won't really matter. It's more like, and this is a different skill, which I also have learned over time, is not a natural way for us to think. It's more like, oh, halfway, quarters. If this thing that I'm teaching you right now is critical for all drawing, right? Like eventually you're going to kind of divide, you're going to find your vertical distance, you're going to find your halfway point and sometimes your quarter points, and that's going to help you assess how wide everything else is. But yes, use the ruler if you've got it, because it's a hard concept to get our mind around. So funny. And when you're ready, and why do people not draw like this? It's super. Why do people not teach themselves to draw like this? It's super tedious. Like, it starts out being tedious, but then later you're like, oh my God, I don't know how anybody could actually draw anything without doing this. We don't really want to measure. This is what most people will do, given their druthers. They will start with that nice, big, beautiful eye, and then they'll just, then they'll draw this, then they'll draw this, then they'll draw this. And they might be correct or they might be incorrect about where things are. What we're doing is kind of mapping out where things are. And the next, hey, George, I'm going to show you both the next step so you can see it. This is the trick. This is the tricky one. So I'm going to show you how it works. So to find the width proportionate to the height, the first thing I'm going to do, I know this is not the same size as this, right? This is shorter. I want to see if I can figure out how much shorter. You're not going to help me with this. Hang on. Big long. I want to get at this center line. I want this line to be proportionally the same here as it is here. To do that, I'm going to just check it. So you see how I'm going to my source and I'm checking this is the width at the halfway point. And I'm going to compare it to the height. And what can we see about the comparison of the width to the height? What do you see? How wide is it versus how tall it is?
Seems
It's
about the same.
No,
Oh,
3/4. There's a
it's like
hole,
three
right?
quarters tall, and
Yeah, three
that's the
quarters
middle.
tall. Do you see that? Because this is the top, not
oh,
right. So that is your left brain saying this is the top of the dog's head, but actually we have a whole ear length right above that. So if you look at this, you can see that my distance proportionally, and this is the thing that's the hardest thing for people to do. So for you, Courtney, it's going to be 6 inches wide, 3 on this side, 3 on this side. Get it? Okay. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna check it myself. I'm gonna guess and see how well I do. Let's see. I'm gonna check this. Oh, not bad. So I did get these equidistant. Let's see if when I compare them, way too big. All right, scooting everything in. Let's try this again. For my new marks, still too big. So notice this should work. So we're taking this to this. Yeah. Notice the tendency to make things too big. Can you see how my third mark here, the two marks, they're equal to each other? I've checked them. I have no idea what the number measurement is, but I can visually see that these are divided in half. And I know this is divided in half. So I can come here and see that proportionally, I will get this dog correct, even though I'm drawing it smaller, because this width at the center line is equal to 3/4 of the height. Isn't that wild? So this is what I mean by visual spatial proportional measuring. It really, and numbers start to, it'll work for Courtney, it'll work for you. George, it might work for you depending on what rule you are using. You will find over time that you're going to care less about the number and you'll be able to get a sense. You'll care more about, and then you can draw a line between them. So remember two things. This line bisects the center like this one does. And if I'm going to draw this dog smaller, this side has to be equal to this side, right? This is the halfway point between this line. And this length needs to be the same length as this. So it's less about numbers and more about and it's funny, you'll find that when you get the numbers out of the way and you start looking at this visually, spatially, it takes practice. So no pressure here. And I'm even gonna sketch out a little box here that kind of hits my far points so I don't get too big. I don't fill this whole space up. So whenever people say to me, drawing is intuitive, art is intuitive and creative, and you don't have to, there's no rules. I'm like, you have no idea how many rules there are in drawing. It's just incredibly logical system and is a completely different than anything else we do. So I'll wait for you guys. When you think you have this, send it over.
Leah, I don't quite understand what you did. Did you make it a chord like how you did, how you measured out the middle line?
Well, for
I
you,
just
you just
made
have to
mine
measure
8.
out 3 inches on this side and 3 inches on this side.
Oh, I got it
You
now.
see what
Thank
I'm
you.
saying? Because that's
Yep.
3/4. Get it? I know it's such a mind bender. It's such
So
a
we're supposed
mind
to have
bender.
it 3/4. Okay.
Yeah, this distance, because when I came here, just to show you again, Bernie, when
Mm-hmm.
I came here and measured this, I
Oh,
saw that the width here is the same as 3/4 of the distance.
I got it.
Got it? It's a beautiful, joyful logic, isn't it? It's so incredible. Like this logic. You can't fight. It's not it's amazing to me how reassuring this is for me. And you're going to find these marks really helpful to you. If you want to, you can also find the halfway point between here and here and here and here. It's not going to be the same as here because these aren't the same distance, but as kind of a bonus, you can also find, let's see how well I do this. I'm gonna guess. I'm hoping. Nope, absolutely not. So the halfway point between here and here is about here, I think. One, two. Yep. Let me double check that. Might be too far. Yep, too far. Okay. Try it again. Maybe it's right there. Let's try that. Because you have a nice, neat number, Courtney, for you, that will be half of 3 is 1.5, right? So these marks will be 1.5. Look at what these quarter points and halfway points give me. They show me a lot about where the edges of the subject are. This one tells us where the top of the head starts. And it also shows us where the ear lives. This one shows us the left edge of the dog. So let me do that here. Then I'm going to do that here. I'm really glad we're going to be doing getting some different. I have some amazing teachers coming in, and I'm glad because this is tedious and it's wonderful, but it's a brain bender. It's relaxing, but it's not relaxing like, I don't know, getting a massage or something like that. It's kind of more relaxing like running, which isn't exactly relaxing, but makes you feel better afterwards because you've worked something out. So I have managed to define my quarter points on this horizontal line, which are not the same. Look, if I compare them, they aren't the same because they aren't right. My quarter points are a little bit smaller than the ones on the vertical. So when you got that, and when you take a picture straight up and down. If you take it from the side like this, if you're kind of bending and taking it from the angle, then it skews a little bit as it goes away from me.
I just discovered when I have drawn the horizontal score that I made the mistake of drawing the vertical line a bit not in the center of my paper, of my sheet of paper.
Do you not have room for it?
I do have room, but the
So all you need to do
vertical
is
line
just
is not in the center.
of your paper, it doesn't need to be in the center of your paper. I don't think mine is either. What you need to do you see how I boxed out? You just need to
Yeah.
find the halfway points, and then I just boxed out the difference. So I'm not going to draw in here. I'm going to stop my drawing. I'm going to keep my drawing contained in here. So it does not matter if you put it exactly in the center, unless it doesn't fit across.
But I mean, does it matter if the horizontal ends of the line, or the ends of the horizontal line are not in the same distance to the vertical line, to the center of the box? Because that's what
Well,
happens.
I just made a new box. Do you see that? Yeah, you're overthinking this. That's what I'm going to tell you. If you're trying to get this dog to fill up the whole paper, then yes, you need to move your line over to the center. But that doesn't mean that because I don't know what size paper you're using, that doesn't mean that this automatically will fill out to the edge. The horizontal line will go from each edge to each edge. So the most important thing, George, is to define this and then figure out how wide 3/4 of this line
Okay.
is to here. Do you get it? That's the most important thing. Now, if you don't have room for both of those, you might have to shorten this. You might have to scoot it over. But don't think that because my paper does this, it goes to the edges, that your paper will. This is 8.5 by 11 inch American printer paper, you're probably using a different size and proportion. So it won't
It's a
be
very
the
strange
same.
site, I must say, because
What?
it's kind of very, like
Yeah,
very,
you're not, yours isn't gonna do the same thing.
no.
So you may have to shorten, my suspicion is you may have to shorten your, you may have to shorten your vertical
The
to get
vertical.
it to to get it to fit with the horizontal.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. And that's the point. So I used to teach this where I'd have people draw a grid, but that doesn't do you any good because my size paper and proportion paper is totally different than what you're using. This is the only way to do it. You've got a vertical line, you define it yourself, you divide it into halfway points and quarters, and your horizontal line has to be only as wide as 3/4 of your vertical across the center. That's all you do. And if you can't fit it, then you have to make your vertical smaller so that your horizontal line will fit. I'm gonna have you struggle. I'm gonna have you stop for a second because I want to show you the next. Courtney, do you have it? Did you send it to me?
Hang on, I'll send it to you. Sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't
send it
realize.
over. If Courtney's got this right, I'm gonna have you stop, George, and then we'll have you pick this up again once I show you the next step. So you're trying, do you see how it is? You're with your size paper, you can't, so you can't, this is not a, proportions are about what you are about vertical distance to horizontal distance. They're not really connected to the size of your paper. That's what you need to understand. Your vertical distance and your horizontal distance has to proportionally be 3/4 of your vertical distance, whatever that is. And if you can't fit that across, then you need to shorten your vertical, refine your quarter points, and then move from there. If you're trying to do what's happening here, there, it absolutely won't work because the proportions are different on my paper to yours. But if you follow the But if you create your own proportions and so what I mean is, if you try to draw this straight across, your triangles or your rectangles are going to look a lot narrower and this won't work. But what is consistent is that got it? Like whatever the vertical distance is, at the midpoint, the horizontal distance needs to be 3/4 of the vertical. Then it doesn't matter what size paper you're working with. Okay. Let me take a look. Hold on just a second. I'm going to remove the spotlight. And so this is a classic overthinking, but it's okay because I get it. It's an entirely, it's not about numbers and direct copying. I'm showing you how to proportion things up or down, depending on what space you have. And that's a totally different thing. Maybe perhaps this isn't easier than the cup. Maybe it's not. Let's see here. Stop the video. And I send this across. Let's see. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah, I was going to take a look. I used to be able to look at WhatsApp from my computer, but they seem to have changed that on the updates. So I have to, yeah. Okay. Hey, Courtney, okay, I see. So 1, 2, looks good. Mm, looks perfect. You got it. You're proportionally, you got it. Isn't it a weird? It's weird, right? The difference between, that's why I say numbers start to get in the way. And when you're copying something, it starts to get in the way because proportion is kind of more about the size that you define. So you get to define the vertical distance, and that's how we measure everything else. That's the thing that's hard to kind of wrap your mind around. Okay, George, I'm going to have you stop for a minute while I show you the next step. Courtney will go on, and then I'm going to check your measurements, and you'll see we'll get you we'll get you on the target. Okay, so now that I have this, I have these things. The first thing I'm going to want to do, just like we did with the lily flower, is I'm going to want to draw the outer shape of this dog. And when I say outer shape, I mean this outer shape, this kind of crazy little envelope. I'm not going to have you try to sketch out the ear right away. You're not going to get it right. You absolutely won't. Because this ear is bigger than this ear and it's hiked up. There's a lot of proportional measure. There's a lot of perspective things that you don't know as a beginning drawer. So now I need to figure out how to place these points correctly right on these lines I've drawn. So what I can see is that if you go to the very top of the ear here, right? This, and I come straight down where the ear hits the top, I can see that this ear comes a little bit, maybe even halfway. Yep, I think it's almost exactly halfway. That this ear kind of goes halfway between this point and this point. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to find my halfway point. And then I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to add my point here. And I know that that's where this starts. I also know that this point is fairly close to the top of the paper. But a little bit lower than this. So I'm going to kind of guess where I think this is. So I've got this point, this point. This one's going to be a little bit harder to guess. So I'm going to skip it for now. I'm going to show you another. Well, am I going to do that? I'm going to definitely chart the points I know. So I can come down here and see that. Interesting. This point is about a third of the way between here, this quarter point, and the end. So I'm going to kind of put my third point, 2, 3. You see how much proportional measuring this is? It's crazy. I can see that this point, when I come down here, comes a little bit to the right of this quarter point. See how much I'm gripping onto these proportions. So I'm coming here, coming down, and I'm marking that here. And this also about a third of the way. This ends about a third of the way up between here and here. So I'm guessing that's about a third. So notice what I'm doing. I'm going, and this is also the thing. So here are my points. Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, and point 5. So what's really trippy about this is I'm going back and forth, right? I'm using the measurements I've established to help me determine where things lie. It's a mind bender. I'm going to send this across so you can see it. And then once I've done that, I might not get this line right, but I can see that this is at an angle. This comes down to basically, interesting. Slightly below, a little bit more below, slightly below here. So I'm gripping onto my vertical quarter points to help me determine kind of the outside shape of the thing. Do you all hate me yet? Do you hate me? I would understand it if you would hate me. There we go. So that's, I'm not exactly sure I have this in the right place. It might be a little bit more this way. It's pretty good, actually. I have ways of checking this. I'm gonna guess this. So that's what you wind up with, this funny little box with this funny shape within the box. I think this needs to come up a little higher, 0.5. So as I'm doing all this adjusting, what you're seeing is I'm not getting everything exactly right, but I'm getting it mostly right. So as I start to make minute adjustments, and I'm starting with the biggest shapes, which is the outer shape. Notice I'm not even drawing the ear, because if I try to draw the ear right now, I am sure not to get it right. Absolutely, I will not get it right. I need to anchor myself in these 4 points and these points, which I've established as correct to help me figure out the proportions of everything else. And a lot of the time when I'm trying to find these lines, I'm lining up with the points here to see, oh, in relation to this, right? In relation to this quarter point, if I go straight down, where does this point land? See how I'm measuring? I'm going straight down. This point is basically lined up with my quarter. I can also label these. This is a 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 4/4. This is 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 4/4, right? So I know these things. So I know it's a lot. You're gonna love, but the results is going to be really, if you can grasp this, this is the hard part of this lesson, proportionally, then you're going to be able to, you're going to start to understand, oh, how do I draw something proportionally correct? How do I make sure I have everything in the right places? Okay. Let me see. I'm going to remove this spotlight. I might even send a picture of this. I'm going to take a look at yours in a second, Courtney. I just want to send this across. I will say that once you begin to develop, beginning drawing, this visual sense of how wide things are, and you stick to it, you use these proportions to help you locate everything else, you will stop thinking about numbers totally. You'll be more thinking, oh, this much space and this much space are the same, and this is related to this, right? I've established a distance here, and that's going to help me figure out where everything is. It's kind of like this crazy triangulation going on. Nobody wants to hear that that's what you have to do, but it is what you have to do. And then after a while, you'll get better at it. You'll start to see it more naturally, and that will be your natural way. And it's funny, I have a wonderful student named Sandra Mahler, who has worked for Virtus for a long time, and she's very perfectionist. And she uses, like, she doesn't like this way of measuring. We've been working together for like 5 years, and she's constantly she uses calipers and this crazy like thing. And I can always figure out where her drawing is off without using anything. And she's like, no, I use the caliper. Oh, you're right. So there's a kind of over obsessive, like when we get to, and George, you caught yourself up a little bit in it. It's very normal. Don't feel bad about it. It's totally a normal thing. Oh, wait, I was going to look at, wait, one more thing. I was going to look at Courtney's. Let me see. It's really easy to get kind of over, okay. Looks pretty good, Courtney. We may have to adjust. Do you find that helpful? It's actually weirdly, once you wrap your mind around it, it's easier. But it, right? It's like not natural, but it is logical. That looks right to me. I've just sent you mine. Yours looks right. So, hold on. So I'm so sorry. So I'm gonna sort of push forward a little bit and then, so George, don't worry about catching up. I want to make sure your proportions are correct and I want to make sure you're not overthinking this. So I'd rather have you watch me and then I'll work with you. When you think you have the proportions of this, hold on here, pop this up and I'll show you. When you think, I don't know if you feel like you've got your proportions right here and here. I don't want you to go farther in your drawing until I make sure that your proportions from here are correct to here. So that's what I want you to work on. However, I'm going to push you ahead so that we can move on, so that we can move on. And then we're going to use this concept of negative space. So notice how helpful this quarter point is for us because it shows us where the top of the head is. Not just that, it kind of shows us the negative space between the left side of the ear and this place. This shape is not the same as this one. You'll see that very clearly. Right? So when you start to sketch out, but we know it all kind of ends at the quarter point here. The next thing, right, is a straight line. This is kind of a big triangle. So as I start to pull out the outer sketch of the dog, I'm using my negative space and my envelope, a little bit like this. Here's Courtney where we might adjust this point a little bit, but I'm okay. Actually, I'm going to start over here. So this is a straight up and down line. Here's my quarter point. Actually, I'm going to draw a straight line across because I know there's this like straight line across here. And I know this line basically comes down and I have this shape here. And then I have the shape of my ear. Now I might need to round it a little bit more. And I know that this comes a little bit over here and then angles out to the edge of my ear. See how I've used this shape, and this outer box to kind of sketch things out. This, where this ear kind of leaves, also lines up with the quarter point. So from here, I go over here and I do a line kind of straight down through this quarter point. And then I angle the nose off to here. I may have to adjust this a little bit. I might have to steepen it a little bit, but I kind of know where the outer shapes are. So George, when you get your vertical to your horizontal distances correct, with the quarter points listed on both of them, I want to see it.
Yeah, I sent a picture to the chat here.
Oh, great. Okay, let me do that really quickly. Sorry, I'm such a pain. I have to like,
No worries.
yeah. I need a third phone. That's what I need. Let's see.
What I did is I displaced the, like the left side of the box and the right side of the box. So, the vertical line is in the center of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
box.
Yeah, perfect. That's what you want to do. Checking. From what I can see, I can't, wait, let me double check this. From what I can see, yep, looks pretty good to me. I'm just checking your quarter points now. Excellent, you got it. Okay, so
Yes.
I'm gonna send a picture across of points 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Courtney, can you imagine what the next step is going to be? Can you feel it? What do you think our next step is going to be?
I don't know what to call this, but snout.
Well, we're going to not even thinking
Nose.
about what a thing is. We are going to be looking at the light and dark shapes.
Okay.
Don't even think about the snout, because if
No
you start
snout.
thinking about the snout, you're going to screw up the drawing. I'll
Okay.
show you how. So in a way, we have removed this subject from its original context. And this is the difference here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna pull
No
this up.
puppies.
This is the difference between right brain and left brain. Left brain is that's a snout. I need to draw it. Oh shit, dog snouts are hard, blah blah blah. How big is it? My dog, every dog, there's like all these like kind of concepts that aren't really helpful. Um, I have now broken this down into shapes. Outer shapes. Now we're going to go to the inner shapes, which are
Okay.
defined by light and dark, right? And the more you think that way, and the less you think about what you're drawing, the easier it's going to be to do. But it's really hard. You can see you all have very well developed left brains. That's all about language and concepts, and Reuters hired you, so you're brilliant at this. You're already that left brain concept of trying to define things, using words to define things, you've honed it quite well. It does not like this. It does not like this. The left brain is gonna try and boss you, and it's like having your grandmother stand behind you and tell you how to use the internet. That's what it is. It's absolutely, well, maybe your grandmother or grandfather is great, but and can do that. But it's a kind of it's like not a, so I'm thinking less about what something is. And if you remember from our very first lesson, remember when we drew the bird but I didn't tell you what it was we were drawing, and drawing the shapes is much easier than actually thinking about what something is. Once you think about what something is, you have all these pictures in your head, which are going to get in the way of you drawing this particular bird in this particular way. So, yes, so we have inner and outer shapes here. Let me pop this up. We've got inner and outer. So we've started with the major proportional, making sure our proportions are correct, and we're using these to help us shape the outer things. Now, so we're going from bigger shape to inner shape. And this is kind of notice I'm not even dealing with the eye right now, not even. So that's your dark, let's see, that. These are your dark shapes and your light shapes. So that's the next step. Okay, I'll draw the outer shape of the eye because it's a nice dark shape, right? Don't start there. Here's my other eye, right? You're going to start with these outer shapes. The bigger the shapes, the better. And here's where you might adjust this line a little bit. But now I can see, oh yeah, that comes in like this. It kind of comes down like this. See how I'm starting to kind of capture. I look for the easiest ones first. This is an easier one, and well, maybe not. Let's see. I'm checking 2, 3. So this point is exactly 1/3 of the way between here and here. I already have a point defining that, so I know here is my. You see how that works? Now, it's not really fair. To be really fair, I'm doing this quickly because I've been doing it a long time. I know this kind of lines up with here. Right, so you see I'm constantly sort of referring. I can see that this comes in under this quarter point. Here we are to the snout. However, the real trick with the snout is that we can't see the whole thing. It's kind of partially covered in shadow. So it kind of has a lost edge, which will make it a little trickier for us to draw. Oh, I don't like how that looks at all. I might start this from this side, kind of a little bit flatter out. There we go. That shape makes more sense to me. Here is this. So now I'm going to let you all kind of, and then now I can. Right? Kind of get my proportions. And only then can I get my eye, the outer shape of my eye in the right place. Notice how I'm fiddling around with this shape a lot. What you're going to find over time, okay, I think that's enough. That'll keep y'all busy for a while. Oh, there is this guy too. He's not quite as dark. And there's this one. You can get those shapes in too. And this is why I really love this stuff. It's so methodical. I may not even exactly have things in mind. They look pretty good though. I know what I feel confident in is any adjustments I need to make will be minor. So let me send this across. Give me a second. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to send this across so you can look at it online, but I'll also put it up for you. Let's see. Yeah, so much for a relaxing Sunday. There we go. It should look a bit like this. I find that looking at my line drawing often you can look at the line drawing, but you'll still be distracted by the other things going on. So it's helpful to kind of look at my line drawing in relation just to see what you draw and what you don't. Put up. And this is and so I've just sent this across the thread as well. So if you're struggling to see it up here, you can look at it across the thread kind of over. So. I'm kind of adjusting things a little bit. I'm adjusting things here or there. It's really not fair. I've done this longer. Um, it's interesting. I had a moment where I was teaching figure drawing last week in person. And I was feeling sick because if you remember, I was sick last week, but I still went to class and taught that class. And my head was really very fuzzy. And I was struggling. There was no way. So I was demoing for the students how to draw from a live figure model. And I was just, my head was like, it was just hard for me to get into the drawing. Um, and I forced myself to go back to these principles, vertical versus horizontal, halfway points. And then all of a sudden, the students were like, oh my God, I lost hope in that drawing halfway in the middle, like, watching me lose hope in the drawing. But I didn't say anything. I just adjusted. I went back to my measurements and then I was able to pull the drawing out. And I think there's something to the problem with this is I've done it enough times. I need to be able to explain it to you. I make it look easier than it is. But figure drawing isn't easy for anyone, including me. So it's a good experience as well to just remember that oh, wait, here, one very key line that I also have to return to these. It's kind of a focus thing to be able to get things right. And I also make a lot of mistakes when I'm drawing and painting something. Drawing and painting is really a lot about making mistakes and then correcting them, and having some visual cues that help you figure out where you are or where you might be off. I found, even though I didn't really like it because I didn't look like I knew what I was doing, that it was actually helpful for the students to see how far off I could go if I was not, you know, at my best. And they all did great after that. I think there's almost a permission I want to give you to just totally muck this up as you're drawing it. There's no, um, this is not about getting it right on the first go. It's about drawing, reassessing, using your tools. And then my job is to kind of help you see, oh, yeah, right. Remember, I can use this point. Remember, I can use this point. So, um, but it's a fumbling. It's fumbling, but it's not, no. It's like climbing up a rock face. You can see where you need to put your feet, but it's sometimes scary to do it, right? Like you want to skip, you want to go closer, you want to go farther away, but what you really is you sort of cling to these points to get yourself through it. And then later it'll feel very normal and natural. We've also bisected this sketch, this subject into many different um, things. And one of the things yeah, actually, one of the things I've noticed is that for me, this drawing kind of ends here unnaturally. So I've made him go a little longer. So maybe what I'm going to do is this, because this light is actually up here a little farther from the top. Just knowing that's what was going on there. Okay. The only people who don't do well at drawing are people who cannot bear to make a mistake. I've had a couple of those in my classes over the years, and those people struggle and can't do it because they want to figure out how to do things perfectly. Um, the thing is, this is a flat surface, and we're translating it from 3 dimensions into two. So things aren't the shape you think they should be. Your left brain thinks they should be. So it's kind of learning the geography, the real estate that different shapes take up on a flat surface, which isn't easy. When you think you've got it here, if you're struggling, send it over. But also, my whole point in that long diatribe was um, make mistakes. It's really good. It's a good thing to do. I'm going to go get a little bit more coffee. All right. How are we doing over here? Oh, hold on. Coffee. Okay. How are we doing? Good. Excellent. Okay. Uh, if you want to send me over your trace, sorry, your copy when you're drawing, when you get to this point,
Darn it.
I think you can imagine what the next step is, which is we darken our darks. George, are you staying with your family? Your parents or cousins or siblings? You're on mute. Are you on mute so that I won't hear you cursing?
Sorry. I thought I had clicked, but I haven't. No, I'm staying at my parents. Yes, yes.
Mm.
We're waiting for our brother. He will come in a couple of hours.
Amazing. Oh, did we lose you there for a second?
Yep, but
Are
I'm
you
back.
do you have two iPads? Or
No,
is it? Got it. Okay. Go
I
ahead and
don't
send
know
this
what I
over.
just clicked, but then you went away and now you're back. So we're going.
Oh, there we go. Now we're back. Where are you at? You have it ready for me to look at?
Yes, I took a picture of it and put it in the WhatsApp.
I got 2 seconds. Right, so let me remove the spotlight. Let's see what we got here. Let me see here. That looks pretty good, actually, don't you think?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think now I really struggled with the snout that we're now going to call it. Let me show you. I don't know if you saw, but I drew it twice. I'm going to break it down a little bit for you because I think, I see what's wrong. Okay, so I'm 99% drawing's good. There's one thing off, but you can easily adjust it. So let me show you where that's at. Can you see, no, you can't because I have to. So, all right.
Yeah, I sent two pictures. There's
I'm looking at
because
the
I
second.
realized,
I'm looking at the
yeah,
second
because
one.
the first
I'm
one it
looking at
didn't
the
look
second.
right. So then I tried
Right.
again.
So you got it. But yeah, you fiddle around till you get it, right? It's kind of
Mhm.
amazing. There's one that's a little bit off, very easy to miss. So
Okay.
let me see if I can show you. And I think you're ready to go on and start darkening things. Uh, oh, here we are. So you're probably noticing his nose looks slightly longer.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you stopped at this line here, and it should come down a little bit lower, right? And then that kind of angles this a little bit more correctly. If you angle from here, it looks too big. And the other thing that I did, it is true, I sketched this kind of as a round shape. I'm going to re-sketch it as a series of straight lines that connect. So this straight line for the snout really lines up with the 3/4 point. And then like another line comes down like this. and another line comes down like this. And then I'm able to kind of round it. Then you're in good shape. Then you should just start darkening things. I darken, right? I'm not even going to do this because I think this will be very easy for you guys. Start darkening, start with the darkest areas. I'd advise you not to start with the eye because we get obsessed with the eye and then we never move out off. So start with your bigger, darker shapes. I'm doing it kind of fast, right? But you see where I'm going with this? So those tiny little corrections and then you're in good shape.
Thank you, Leah. I have to log off.
Okay, but you can
I'm gonna
finish on your
watch
own.
Yeah, but thank you for everything with all of your classes. It's been wonderful.
Okay, good. I hope we see you in class next year.
You will. Thanks again.
Excellent. Have a great holiday.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. And send your
Happy
picture when
holidays.
you're finished with it.
Okay, thanks. Thanks again, Leah, for everything.
No problem. Thank you. Okay. Just you and me, George. So we've got another 20, 30 minutes or however much time you have.
Yeah, I'm just trying to finish those
The outline.
yeah, the outline exactly. But I'm really struggling with the part of the eyes. Not
Don't deal with the
eyes.
eyes. Just
Not
let it go.
Yeah, not the eyes themselves, but the eyebrows and all this part is
Think about that right now. You're not drawing eyebrows right now. You are drawing that's your problem. You're thinking too specifically. And that's a very classic left brain thing. You want to hone in there and get every detail. Ignore them.
No. I just mean the outlines, like the outlines
The outlines.
of the dark and the white hair, that border.
Yeah, it's tricky. So try not
It's
to
really
think about
tricky.
try not to think about what it is. And George, you might try this. If this helps, we can turn this upside down. Might help you.
Oh, really? Oh.
Try turning it upside down. I'll turn it upside down up here so you can see it.
Okay.
It might help you see the outline better. It's most likely that you're placing these points too far, too close, right?
Yeah.
The problem, and it's a very classic problem, we all do it, is focusing on too much detail too soon. And when we focus on something, we make it larger than it really is. And then when we don't focus on something, we make it smaller than it really is, right? So it's kind of about letting go of the words. And this must be huge for you because your whole job is words in many languages. So you're not only you're like super left brain, you're like a left brain superhero because you have to get a nuance in your translations, right? That's very minute. You need to let go of that here and just look at dark shape versus light shape, and then it'll be easier.
Yeah, I'm just really, really scared of proportions. And,
Don't be scared. I'm here to help. I'm here to help. Mess it up. I'll help you. Don't worry about that. Do your best, and then I'll help you. As you saw with Courtney, I can adjust for her. But it helps to maybe try it upside down, and it also helps.
Yes, it's helping.
It is helping, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you know what that does? It's this instant disconnect in your left brain. Your left brain gets confused. It's like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck am I looking at? And when you don't know what you're looking at, it makes it much easier to draw.
Yeah, I think like unconsciously you're asking yourself like, is this really a dog? Is it
Is
looking
this
like
a
a dog or
dog?
not?
Is this a shape? Yeah, you're not really. And let's put it this way. We're also thinking as much about the space between things, the subject, as we are the dog itself. So we're breaking it apart. It's kind of like making a quilt, right? We're getting the pieces together. This piece has to work with this piece. This sleeve piece can't be too long or it's an entire, but we're doing it on 2 dimensions. So there's this extra layer of confusion because what we think is happening because of perspective is not happening. So, right, it's a different thing is happening than we think. So,
I think I can send you what I have right now,
okay, send it over.
because I think I think I'm close
You got
to
it?
that. Yeah, I think so.
Isn't that fear just so palpable? It's like, I totally relate because I have it myself. That fear of not getting things right is
Yeah.
so huge. And even when I was like standing in front of my students last week and I was really feeling incapable of doing the drawing, um, I had this fear I was going to look stupid. Me, the teacher, like in class. But I was so grateful to it afterwards because my students took from that. They could sense that I was like struggling. As one of them said, wow, I thought all was lost and then you fixed it. And I was like, there's so much performance anxiety in a class situation. And it doesn't like stop when you're the teacher. That's why a lot of teachers don't allow it, that level of uncertainty in their own work. What I noticed was really interesting is that once the students saw me do that and they felt me, my fear, they went right into their own. They had the best class they'd ever had. They were fearless. They went right in
Yeah.
because it's really hard so it's really hard to get us out of the mindset of performing, and classes are also a performance anxiety, right? Am I
Yeah.
going as fast as the other person? Am I doing as well as they are? And I remember the first 10 years of my artistic life, I just felt behind all the time. I really did. And then after a while, what I learned was my skill set is really solidly based in a construction model. And even people who are quote unquote better drawers than I, like there's tons of people who draw better than I do, but they cannot break apart and analyze their drawings. They get to a certain
Mhm.
point and then they can't do it because they intellectually don't understand what's happening. And I started feeling better about where I was. But yeah, I didn't start drawing until I was 32. Can you imagine? And I wasn't very good. Like, I'm like trying to be a painter and I want to be an artist and I don't know how to do anything. And it's like, really, I totally relate. So I'm just saying, I understand that fear. Um, go into that. I want in this class for you to go into that fear because diving into that fear is owning it and kind of not letting it, knock you down, knowing, oh, okay, I can fix this. I have
Yeah.
things that will help me fix this. I
Yeah.
have rules that I can grab onto that will help me fix this. The more you practice that, the better it gets. I can't guarantee you're always going to feel great. Sometimes it's going to feel crappy, but there's a value to it. But yeah, that performance anxiety I mean, I'm sure in your job, in your job, you've got to be good at what you do. We don't really have a lot
Yeah.
of room for error in our work life.
No,
It's
no, we don't.
no,
I
no.
mean,
And yeah, go ahead.
we do, but I think it's like you have to deal with consequences, or you have to, like it has a cost. Like
Yes, it has a
if you
cost. It has a very yeah,
exactly,
imagine if, and you just work with words. Imagine if you were a surgeon. Like, I can't even
yeah,
imagine the pressure that you'd have to live with the mistakes of being like a doctor or a surgeon. I mean, people can die. Um,
yeah,
yeah, there
yeah,
are consequences. And yet, if you look at I don't know if there's any young children in your family right now, like
yes, yes,
four or younger, watch how they learn how to do something because it's repetition, it's mistake, it's, oh, that didn't work. And they're not thinking about it, right? Um, Learning to hand write is probably one of the hardest things that anybody is ever asked to do. And it's the most analogous to this process. Um, Words, you can learn to kind of spell out words and then attach them to concepts, and then that feels like a natural build. But if you watch somebody young try to learn something, they're constantly making mistakes. It's so
yeah.
interesting. So keep an eye on them. I have this cute little granddaughter who's 3, and she's coming for Christmas. And I have like over the years, she's a very physical kid. And so she's able to run a lot. She climbs. She doesn't like talking that much. Actually, talking is harder for her,
Oh
but
wow.
she's better at it, but she resisted it. That process felt
Mhm.
hard for her. But I used to watch her, like her mom and I would be sitting on the couch, and I'd watch her climb up her mother's lap, climb over mine, climb down the couch, come back over, climb. And each time she'd like adjust her little leg a little differently, adjust. It was the cute. She did it like 2,000 times in front of me, right? Just in front of me. And I could see her kind of like, oh, that didn't work as well this time. I'm going to try this instead. And if you watch them make these adjustments, that's how they're learning. And that's how we're learning too. Um, but yeah, we have lots of fear of failure, and I
Yeah,
understand
and
it.
exactly in our job in Reuters is like, because I mean here, for example, I mean with your classes, I think it's been very therapeutical in the sense of that, you know, of getting deep into that fear of making mistakes, but knowing how to solve them, you know how
But
to overcome that. But you know, in Reuters, it's like you have have the time constraint. So with the time
exactly,
constraints,
you
you
don't
don't have
have, right.
yeah, you don't have time to erase and repeat or that,
Well, you make mistakes and then you learn how
Yeah,
to correct them. You learn how to make
exactly.
sure, okay, what do I need to make sure that doesn't happen again? Really, I mean, that is also helpful, right? One of my favorite stories from this year, and I told it to uh, who is a woman in Milan. Her name's Francesca. I should probably not say it. Anyway, Francesca was on, well, too late. I've already said it. So Francesca
You already
was,
said it in another classes, I think.
oh, did I say this? So that whole thing with the Pope dying, did you hear about
With
this?
with the what, sorry?
The Pope dying.
Ah,
So
no, 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 no.
Francesca they divide up Italy, and one person is on the weekends in Italy, all of Italy. So
Oh,
Francesca
wow.
happened to be on the weekend, the day the Pope died. And uh, Reuters was the first, and she got the story out before anybody else. Reuters was the first one to break that story. And
Wow.
which is amazing, right? It's an incredible story. She came to class the next week shaking with shame. And the reason is there was a little tweak in a headline in English that kind of I can't even remember what the mistake was, but there was a slight, like smoked out Pope or something like that, which got corrected immediately. And she could not stop beating herself up about it. And I'm like, and we all just were listening, going, wait, you did that job really well. You did that amazingly
Yeah.
well. You one little tiny thing, and it was corrected right away. And you know what I mean? And she could not stop focusing on how she failed. And I'm like, you didn't fail. You just because you didn't do that absolutely perfectly, you like met the requirements of the job better than any other journalist in the world. And sure, and this is not your first language, it's like your fourth, right? Like, so, and I remember it was kind of like a Reuters, there was some Reuters thing, like some coding thing, or you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Something that,
Yeah, yeah.
like, my job is not to understand it, it's just to hear it. And all she could see was that one teeny tiny little error. And we talked her through it. And I said, I really want you to look at this is that you are not going to be laying on your deathbed thinking, I fucked up that headline. You're going to be thinking I was the first reporter in the world for Reuters to cover in the world to release the news
Yeah.
of the Pope dying. But in the moment, we're so like,
Yeah,
it's so
just yeah.
hard on us. So,
Yeah,
and I
we don't have
yeah,
like a general perspective of things, and I think I already talked to you about this. That's what I really valued and learned with your classes is like you try not to forget what's the main picture, right? And what are the real
right.
proportions of things, you know? Because we focus, as you said, we focus on details, and then we mess it up with the distance. We mess it up with you make this line too long or too short. But if you
Right.
remember that you have, as we have drawn these scores, vertical, horizontal, it's like, okay, that's going to be there
That's
when
the
you
thing, right? Like if I
exactly
can
when you lose the
establish it.
perspective. Yeah. So
Yeah.
as you said, when this woman will be older or retired, maybe she will get a better perspective of what she did, and that mistake will not look so big as maybe it looked in the moment.
Exactly. But in the
Mm.
moment, we can't really see it. And what I also think is she came and talked about it in art class. And that's really, I mean, I'm not a therapist. I can't, like, I'm not legally, like, I can't give advice. But what I do try to stay in touch with, and I think I'm able to do this because I didn't learn to draw and paint till I was an adult, is that I remember how hard it was. And I remember the stumbling blocks I had and how frustrating they felt. And the more I teach, the more I nuance. Oh, I understand this is going to be it. That's why I spent so much time over explaining this in the beginning. I knew it isn't easy to understand. But I knew that if I didn't really focus on that, I didn't used to focus on it so much. I'm like, no, and then I correct it, right? Somebody would do it, they do it, and I correct it. And then I realized, no, I really need to explain this because this is an entire logic system that will save you as an artist and a drawer. And because we're adults, we can grab onto any concept and run with it. So that's like the kind of how to fix things. And it'll become so natural to you if you keep practicing it that you won't imagine how you could do it any other way. Nobody teaches themselves to draw that way. They think they know what they're seeing. They may be a little bit better than other people because they practiced it a bunch. But once you do a three-quarter face like this, all the rules go out the window, right? Anything you think is happening is not happening. Once you draw a cup on a flat surface, all your understanding intellectually about what's happening goes out the window. There's an entirely different structure. So it's kind of like, yeah, you can't really get there without making the mistake. And it just
Yeah.
feels terrible. I understand it. I totally do.
Yeah, and actually, it happens. It happens to me today.
Right.
When I realized, like, oh fuck, this vertical line
Thing
is
is
not in
too
the
long.
center, because
Yeah.
I was using a rule, with centimeters, and
Right.
uh, and I measured it and was like, oh damn, I mean, the half of 13 is not 6, so I was like, damn.
Right. Shit.
So I kind of, okay, I told you about it, and just thought,
And we
like,
fixed
okay,
it.
just
Hey,
think
George, this
rationally.
looks great, by the way. I want you to know this looks
Okay,
great. This looks
thank you.
great. I think we're in good shape. I'm looking to see. Yeah. So while we're chatting, now I think it's going to be easier for you to start darkening the darkest areas. And my
Mhm.
suggestion is that it looks great. Looks really good. You're going to be very pleased with this drawing when it's done. Yeah, I kind of learned through hard experience when I first started working online, particularly with people in different countries, that this perspective thing I was trying to do, this grid method, which is this, isn't helpful because everybody has a different size paper. It's not going to work, right? Like the grid will not work. So I had to teach people how to proportionalize the grid. And that is a much bigger step. But the value of it is, once you do it, by the way, I'm taking my phone off because I think I can just look at stuff. You start darkening, we can keep chatting.
Okay.
Um, but like I understood, oh, that needs to be explained. And by the way, no one ever explained that to me. In my first three drawing
Wow.
classes, no one ever explained that to me. People are like, you just go like this. I mean, they were doing it, but they weren't able to explain what they were doing. And that's kind of where most of us get stuck in the drawing process. So, yeah, I knew you would love this because you're an intellectual guy, and this is a rigorous intellectual practice.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Well, thank you for feeling safe enough to express that. It's brutal. It's
Yeah,
brutal.
yeah. Actually, I was talking about it with Anik, because
Oh, yeah.
I met her in the office, and she's been like, "Oh, how you feeling with Leah classes and that?" And I told her, like, I'm feeling. I mean, I'm very good. I mean, it's like, um, I've tried several activities, like, maybe some sports, or I have, I'm also learning Polish.
Right.
But I don't know, like, with these drawing classes, it felt like more rewarding, and kind of helping me more to manage, like, processes and priorities, and and how to more or less meet my own expectations, but yeah, at the same time dealing with mistakes, and that's very important for me, actually, because I'm a perfectionist, and I'm a
Of
perfectionist
course
in
you are.
pretty
I
much
think
everything.
Reuters is full of perfectionists. I think that's who they hire, like to their credit. Like that's who they hire. What did she say to that?
Yeah, she said that she could understand, understand that that I was feeling that, and
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It was just a short conversation, but I mean, I really would like to, yeah, try to make myself more disciplined in this way, so I can, like
Right,
practice on my own. I also wanted to have
right.
classes because I have tried it on my own before during the pandemics, for example.
And
But
it's
it's like,
social, right? It's like more
yeah, because
social.
I didn't know where to start. I
Right,
didn't know if I should
right.
go back to what I had learned in school, and I just didn't know how to do things. So I tried to draw things. I wasn't glad with the result, so I thought,
Because
oh,
you don't
maybe
know the rules, so how can you be,
exactly,
right? Like you don't
exactly.
know the rules. You need to learn the rules. Drawing is the only thing that I have had, not even painting is like this. Drawing is the only thing I've found where I can ask a whole group of students in the room, are you a beginning drawer, an intermediate drawer? Who can draw? And no one thinks they can draw. It doesn't matter how much experience they have. It doesn't matter how much you drew as a kid. It doesn't really matter. The ones who kind of on their own felt it out, um, really, they sort of think they know how to draw, but if you ask them, they're like this. Like the most, like Gina Chua, who was just the most amazing, who was an incredible portrait artist, would be like this. Like her hand would be up to about here. Nobody went, I know how to draw. And put their hand up. Um, and that's because it's as basic and integral a process as learning to speak, learning to
Mhm.
understand, learning to
Yeah,
walk, and learning to write. And those things take several years, and we forget that it takes that long.
yeah,
I think the other thing you're going to find as you get further along in this is that this logical process, is going to, in a positive way, affect your left brain, your verbal conceptual side of things. It's going to add a set of tools in your toolbox, which is going to be useful. Um, and what I mean by that is, it's funny. I was very shut off from my visual side. uh, I started getting as a journalist, and I resisted having to kind of think visually how things would look on the paper, even though I had a lot of designers who were like, oh, we really have to think about this, Leah. Like, what is it so I can get images and blah, blah, blah. And I got mad about it, actually. I'm like, it's not my job. But I understood, but I used to struggle with writing. And then the leads and the essence, I get very confused by the details. And even after like 10 years of doing it, I got better at it, but I didn't feel like I mastered it. And then after I learned to draw, I never had a problem writing anything ever again. Because
wow.
the essentializing that I learned to do with drawing transferred over to the essentializing I learned to do as a writer. And I've talked to Janet Roberts about this, who I hope you one day get to meet. She's pretty great. And she agrees. But we also learned we can't in any way prove, it's very hard to measure and prove. Like, it's just hard to measure and prove. Like it happens. There's a kind of clarifying that thing that happens and simplification. There's a way that like simplifying pieces in a kind of geometry, geometry is the wrong word. Figuring out how big pieces are and how they fit together uh, is absolutely applicable. So you have this whole other set of logical tools that help you. But we tried to design a survey. First of all, nobody wanted to take it. Second of all, I got very like sort of, if this, do you feel this? And then we just realized nobody cared. They really just wanted to get better at drawing. Sure, it probably made them a better journalist, but they were already good enough where they were. And also, it gives you a little opportunity to really, it's like exercise for the brain. It's like jogging for the brain. And
Yeah.
that is, which you are probably very familiar with because learning a new language is like jogging for the brain, but a different kind of jogging. But a jogging, right, is
It's
exercise for the
yeah.
brain. You can't just start focusing on detailed ideas you want to explain. You need to understand the grammatical structure of how things are constructed. You need to start with very simple phrases. And by the way, I was never very good at it. I was never very good. I lived in 8 countries and I was never very good at learning languages. I'm going to say it was partly my intellectual laziness. I didn't push myself that way. But it's also because I was very into the visual spatial, the drawing. So I
Mhm.
wanted to like learn it. But I'll also say, like, I'm sure you hear this when people say, "Oh, I'm just not good with languages." You are. It's kind of, you're like, "What the fuck? I work really hard to be good at languages. Like, it's not an easy thing." Sure, I might have a kind of natural bent towards it, but that doesn't mean it's easy. And it kind of dismisses all the hard work you have to do to get there. Um, and that's starting with these basic tenets and going forward. So I think what you'll find, yeah, that's my goal as a teacher is to anticipate what your problem areas are going to be and then try to explain them and help you correct them and show them to you. And that's like, you really can't do it without drawing it and making the mistake. So it's a fascinating process. Just goes, and it never really stops. I don't really feel like after 25 years, I can now say, yeah, I'm pretty good at it. But I would not say, if I try to compare myself, it doesn't work that way, right? Um, I try to think really hard only about my own process and what I'm trying to express. And um, it's kind of becomes like skill based. I've been feeling kind of crappy in teaching for the last 2 weeks, and I've been stunned at what I can do. I'm like, I actually felt bad this morning, but I was like, oh no, I know I can do this. And even though I'm tired and my focus isn't on, you can tell because my measuring wasn't as good as it normally is, but it doesn't really matter. Like, because I'm always returning to the process. And that's an interesting place to find yourself. Like, you kind of think, oh, I'm past this, but you never really are. I'm kind of hoping that I can link the peer counseling program that Anik is part of with some kind of craft circle stuff online, where maybe peer counselors hold uh, art and craft circles where people can come to do a craft together or an art together. It doesn't have to be the same thing. Somebody could be knitting and somebody could be drawing, but that you're doing that, and then and then the peer counselor is kind of checking in on everybody. How you doing? Right? Like, how are you? And it's kind of easier to talk about when you have a project to work on instead of like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we might be able to get there. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like Lato's proposal was 2 weeks ago. It was very, yeah, very interesting. But I'm really not sure if I can,
Do
just
what you want. Yes. He's an
yeah.
that is an advance. You can. You can. I'm sure you can. What did he tell you?
I mean, he said like it doesn't matter what's your level. Just try to find a project you would like to start and just join us. But I don't know. I'm just like restarting to draw with your classes. So I don't know. Just thinking that I can do a project on my own and feel glad about the result. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a bit too early for me. But
Maybe. I think it's intimidating. I think that's why
yeah,
that class is technically listed as an intermediate advanced class. But if you're a fearless beginner or a fearful beginner who's willing to push through that, um, you can, like there's value in it. Because he's so entertaining, right? Like
Yeah.
Lotto is a very dear friend of mine, and he was actually the only guy who's ever taught me anything about painting. Him
Oh
and one
wow.
other teacher. I was a very natural painter. Painting came extremely naturally to me. Drawing was really a struggle. So I actually am not a great painting teacher. I have to watch it. Well, I'm a good painting teacher now, but like, when I first started, things I could do with painting, I couldn't like drawing was just like beyond me. But I could kind of draw with paint. And then I had to figure out how to, put those two things together. And when I met Lotto, we were both living in Budapest. It was 2006.
Hmm.
And he gave me two painting lessons that were like absolutely instructional for me and how I went forward. Everything kind of stems from there. But he is, he's just a great guy. He's a really great guy. But he's
Yeah.
doing something different. He's kind of trying to guide you wherever you're at. But and he could correct you. I'm more interested in the correction process, like getting it all down. For him, it's less interesting and important than the idea and the concept.
Okay.
I will say that we have more drawing lessons available on the YouTube channel. So I'll send you guys the link and show you where those live. And you're welcome to go. There's like hundreds, maybe 400 or 500. You're welcome to go and look at other drawing classes and just try and do them because they're pretty instructed. The further back you go, I think the less good they are, but there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
I
I could have a look at them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send it over. I'll send it over.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I feel like, I feel like I want to keep on practicing. Also because I don't know, this last 2 months, it's been the first time in many years that I felt proud about a drawing or about a piece of art that I had made, and I was also very surprised. Like, I mean, our classes are not like super short, but in just I don't know, in just an hour or half an hour, we had like a full drawing, and when I was a teenager or even a kid, it took me sometimes, days or a lot of hours to just to have a full drawing like we have done in half an hour or 20 minutes. And
Right.
so so yeah, I
I
felt like,
love
oh
I
wow.
love rules. I like to call them the parlor tricks. I love the parlor tricks of drawing. They make it so much easier. But lots of people resist them because it's a little tedious. But if you're willing to kind of dive into that, it makes things a lot easier. Yeah. I think it's important to have a sense of accomplishment um, at every step, right? To see what you possibly can do.
Yeah.
And then you get used to it. Yeah, it's so great.
Do you know about? I think I don't know the title in English, but I think it's a very very popular book that is called the Path of the Artist or something like that.
Artist's Way.
The
Artist's
Artist
Way.
Way. Okay, the
Yes.
Artist
Julia
Way.
Cameron. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that one.
Yep.
That one.
That's a really interesting book because it does encourage you. At the very beginning, I used it. I quickly stopped finding it interesting because I wanted technical knowledge and it didn't give it to me. So I
Mm.
found drawing on the right side of the brain more interesting. But what I think Julia Cameron does is teach you to build up a discipline and gives
Uh-huh.
you exercises to practice. And that is a very important part of the artistic process. So at the beginning, yeah, I think she helped me with that. But it's funny, that's not the book that lots of people love that book, but that's not the book that stays with me. The two books that stay with me are these two. I'll show them to you. Actually, I have three that I refer to over and over again. And I sent them to you guys in our first lesson. You got a little folder. Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain is
Yeah.
amazing, incredible book. Um, Drawing with Children, which is where our first drawing like assignments came from. And this, Finding Your Visual Voice, I picked up very early in my life, and I always have a copy. I'm often giving it out and then buying another copy. So, Finding Your Visual Voice, I'll take pictures of these and send them over. But that really helped me because it had all the different ways to do it. She kind of focused on the different ways to do art. And she also, this artist also told a story I've never really forgotten about art. And that is, um, her sister has invited her to an art show. And when she got to the art show, she found herself very angry and frustrated by the art. It was an abstract artist. She did not like the art. She was angry and frustrated by the art. She thinks she didn't like the art. And then she learned that the artist was in a wheelchair from a car accident. And she
Wow.
understood that what she was picking up was his frustration and
Yeah.
his anger, and it was all in the art. And that means the art succeeded, right? Because that is like, and she said that was like this aha moment for her. And for me, that was very profound. I was like, oh, people can sometimes stand in front of your paintings and say really like rude things, or I don't like it. But really, it might not be that it might be you don't like the art, but it might be you don't like the feeling, the emotional content that the art brings up for you. That's a very different thing. And it's a interesting way of analyze, and you can't really put words on it, but it is there. The expression is there. And I've never forgotten it. So she has all these cool things like let's see. Like here's all the different ways to do edges, right? Four different artists
Mm.
doing this four different ways. Um, she has little interviews with artists, internal focus. I recently have found this artist in Santa Fe. She apparently that's where she lives, and she shows here. Her work is, if you can see it, I know you're looking at it maybe backwards, but it's very wacky, but totally
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, and and just sort of all the different and then there's this guy, this woman, watercolor, right? uh,
Oh,
like
wow.
fuck me, right? I can't do that, right?
Wow.
Like, but wow, like all these different ways. So that I found really inspiring, slightly intimidating and challenging, but in a good way. Like it really taught me a lot about it. And the artist way doesn't stay with me. So it doesn't, I
Mhm.
don't really remember much about it. So that's the
Mhm.
interesting thing about that.
I was planning to try it at the end
Try it.
of January. Yeah.
Hmm.
Also because I'm still speaking, but I need to connect my charger, okay,
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
computer.
yeah. Do it. In the
Um,
meantime, I'm going to take these pictures of these
yeah,
books.
and yeah, I don't know. I want to try that book because a friend of mine, she also gave me a couple of drawing lessons because she was in drawing classes for many years and also in painting classes, and she also did that kind of artist's way
Yeah,
or method, let's
yeah.
say. And she was really really glad about it. She really managed to retrieve her creativity, her production.
Right.
So
Like she probably was overtrained and had to like kind of pull back to be able to allow expression, right? I'm guessing. Oh,